Okay,
Now
Bruce,
we're
take it over.
thanks, Daryl. Welcome everybody. I haven't done a class in a long time on Zoom, so forgive me if things don't go exactly as planned sometimes. And this is a uh, class that we've done before, that I've done before, as we were coming up to more and more people getting onto Windows 11, and it, this is a completely start from scratch one because things are a little different now and I've gotten a little bit used to it. But let me just share my screen where I can get our slides show, and this is what you can get when you go onto the website. You see it? Everybody see that? Do you see that?
Yes, we can see
Window.
it.
Okay. Okay. That's, you know, today, date. Our agenda for today, come on, work for me. It's going to be a brief overview of Windows 11's look and feel, just some of the things that are different about it, a little bit different than what you may be used to in a prior version of Windows. And so the class is for any people who are upgrading from Windows 7, Windows 10, or like some of our people, Windows XP and all kinds of earlier versions of Windows, or first time users. And what we're going to learn is some navigation things, how to customize things, file management, updates, and I'm actually going to address the dreaded OneDrive, which is something that we fuss with all the time, but it's something that Microsoft has pushed on us, and we may or may not want to use it. You can um, think, put questions in the chat as we go along here if you've got something, or if you really want something right away, you can just interrupt. I don't mind. But what we're going to do first is we're going to show some of the things that are different just by pictures, and the start menu and the taskbar. Those are two things. The start menu, it's if you're looking down at the bottom of your screen um, and you had Windows 10 or anything earlier, all of your icons across the taskbar on the bottom are left justified. And when you go into Windows 11, for whatever reason, they put it in the center of the bottom of your screen. No big deal. And those are what are called pinned apps. Those are things that uh, you'll see pinned. That's something that says, okay, I've pinned that. That means I can just click on it once and it brings up the app. And then it also shows some recommended files. I'll show you a picture of all that in just a second. The search bar, which is pretty important, that's where you can search for apps, files, or actually it sometimes if you put something in the search bar, it'll bring up web searches like a Google search or a Bing search. And the taskbar, there are different alignment options. You can put it back on the left, you can put it on the side, you can do all kinds of things. And then you have the app thumbnails, and there's something called share with Copilot feature, which is something that we probably won't go into too deeply because most people don't want to mess with that right now. But this is kind of what simply it looks like. The start menu across the bottom. The first thing on the left is it's Windows. It's 4 window panes. And that's the one you click on to get your start menu. The next one, which I call a spyglass, is the actual search thing. And it may show up on yours with not only just that little spyglass, but it may have a little place where you can type things in. And if you click on it, it will allow you to type things into it. Then there's all your other apps are shown on here, and I have a whole lot more than this, but this is just these are some of the defaults that they give you. Is, the File Explorer is the one that looks like a little, um, file folder maybe. And then there's the one that looks like a kind of a streamlined little E. That's their Microsoft Edge, which is the browser that comes with your Windows 11. And then uh, they have all this stuff down here on the bottom. And the search bar, once you click on the start menu or the search bar, you can get stuff. You can look for apps that are on, where is this file on my computer? Where did I put this file or this picture? You can look for stuff. And that's one of the more interesting things we'll get into is how do you search for things? And so that's kind of the basics, but let me go to the next one. It's just sort of a different look at the things. Once you click that taskbar, the start looks a whole lot different than in the old one. In the Windows 10 and prior things, it would bring up an alphabetical list of the apps on your computer. Now, instead of doing that, you've got the start thing at the top. You can click on that search button to search stuff. Then it's got some items that it has pinned, and those are typically things that it thinks that you've used a lot or that it thinks you might want to use. And then it has recommended stuff, which is usually files you've recently used.
Hi. Hey. Yeah.
Somebody say something? Okay. So files recently used. Then you've got this place up here where it says apps. That's, if you click on that, you'll get what looks like the Windows 10 thing, where it's the alphabetical list of all the apps on your computer. And again, there's a more button next to the recommended things that you could click on to get more of the things that you've used recently if you're looking for stuff. Now, just another picture of the same thing. Again, you've got the search bar. You can search for things. I find that really handy because, especially if you're looking for something like we'll get into in a minute, the settings in your computer. If you want to change the size of your fonts, or you want to change the size or the look of your cursor on your computer screen, or you want to use a second display and show it a certain way, all those things are in settings. And in the settings, we'll get to those. I'll show you a little bit about that in a minute, because there's so many different things you can look for. So that's kind of just the main screen. It looks very much like everything you had, except the one thing I might want to mention is down in the lower right-hand corner is like a time and date. And if you click on that, that is your notifications, and that's things that it may have notified you about. And you'll see things come up from that. But it down in the lower right-hand corner. And another thing you may want to note is that along the bottom, if you run your mouse clear over to the lower left-hand side and just let it sit there, it brings up, boy, this is really slow. What it does is it brings up a whole bunch of things that it thinks you want to look at, like news stories and weather and all kinds of things. Okay, I lost it. Come on, come back to me. See, it brings up any of your notifications. It whatever you set it up to be, and there's Mine's just set up with the default, and it looks like weather. It looks like it has the stock market. It looks like it has rotating news stories, and then it has an advertisement for Copilot, that's a Windows version of artificial intelligence, and it's not a scary thing unless you let it be, but it's something that we use quite well. But that little thing just happens if you just run your mouse down there in the corner. And sometimes when you do that, it's irritating. You can actually go into the settings and you can say, don't do that anymore. The next thing I'm going to talk about is settings. It's changed a whole lot from old Windows. In all of the old Windows, they had something called the control panel. And I got really used to using that. And when you go, and when I now go in there sometimes, I'll actually type in the search bar control panel and I'll get the old control panel. But they keep rumoring that Windows is going to pull it entirely here pretty soon. But they say it's the settings app is redesigned layout with clearer categories, quick access to system specs, and there's a lot of stuff in terms of accessibility and personalization. And so you may want to, some people, what they do is when you go into settings, if I were to go to the start button, and I come up here and I click on settings, oh, it comes up in my other screen. Let me see if I can bring it over here. This is what it looks like. And if you want to go in here, and you can take the settings when you go back. Let me just close this. If I go to this start button, if I just right click on this settings button here, I can go pin to taskbar. And I've been meaning to do this for a long time, but if I take it and I click on that, it pins it down here to my taskbar and I don't have to go into the start button to find it.
That's so help.
What was that? I keep hearing people talking into. So that's how you spit.
Bruce. I think we need to do a hard mute.
Well, anyway, here's the settings page, and we're just this may be too small on your screen. I don't know. I'm going to go through the piece parts of it, but on the left-hand side here, first is your account up on the top. Then it has all these different things: home, system, Bluetooth and devices, network and internet, personalization, apps, accounts, time and language, gaming, accessibility, privacy and security, and Windows Update. And I'm going to hit on a couple of these just to let you know that they're important. Bluetooth and devices, that's where you're going to find your printer. That's where you're going to find any Bluetooth devices. Like I have a Bluetooth mouse. I also have Bluetooth earphones and microphone. So those are all under Bluetooth and devices. And that's where you can turn it on or off. You can select the things that you're going to use. I actually have a music reader program for my music, and I have a Bluetooth foot pedal that changes the pages in the music. And so I have to connect that up as well. The network and the internet selection is pretty important in that was one where we find how you're connected up, whether it's a Wi-Fi, and you select your Wi-Fi and you can sign into your Wi-Fi through that. And so that's that location. I'm going to skip down to apps. That's where, again, where all your apps reside, and you can find what's there. And I'm going to skip some of these others that are accessibility is one that for those of us who get up in years, we want bigger fonts on our screens. We want something that reacts to our voice. We want to be able to do dictation instead of typing the keyboard. I see that question. I'll answer that in a minute. But the answer to the question is yes, there is a way to get rid of that thing popping up in the lower left-hand corner. You can actually change it too, and you can put the things that you want on there if you want to change it. But accessibility is something that's more for special needs and things that make it more accessible to us. I find dictation to be a really handy thing for some things. I do know that dictation, it gets used to listening to our voice, and yet it's still, if we don't enunciate clearly, it will create words where we said something different. My favorite is my best friend sends dictated text messages to me all the time. And when he mentions his wife, whose name is Ellen, the computer always interprets it as Helen. So asked him who this other Helen is. So you have to do that. Now, the last two, privacy and security and Windows Update, are pretty important things. Privacy and security is something that shows you what the status is of your security. And Windows 11 comes with a very robust virus protection called Windows Defender. If you've purchased something else, like McAfee or Norton or any of the other CCleaner or any of those Malwarebytes, it will override the Microsoft Defender and use whatever you've purchased. But if you don't purchase anything, it will use the Microsoft Defender. And when you pull up this thing of privacy and security, which I'll just do here just for fun, if I go in here to settings, and I go to privacy and security, and the first thing that comes up is Windows security, where I want to go. And it tells me all these little things have green check boxes, which says that I'm protected from everything. But you've got virus and threat protection, account protection, firewall and network protection, app and browser control, and device security. And I have all of those green. If they're not green, there might be something in your system that hasn't been set correctly or whatever, but that's something that's pretty important. Then I'm just going to go down here to Windows Update, which is the final thing. This is something that a lot of people didn't turn this on when they got the computer. Get the latest updates as soon as they're available. You should do that. Microsoft, on a weekly basis, updates all of the virus protection things. And so you really want them to update you. And you never know that's happening. It just happens in the background. The only time you know that the updates are happening is sometimes they will do a major update, typically 2 times a year. And when they update it, you'll have to restart your machine when it gets done, which is kind of irritating. But that's typically that you need to stay up to date. And this thing will, if you check for updates, it will tell you what things haven't been updated yet. Get out of that, back to the screens. So this is again, this is just an expansion of what goes down the left-hand side on their settings. I do want to mention also, when you go to System, the first one on there, if you were ever asked by one of us, well, what kind of processor do you have, or how much memory do you have? If you go to the settings and System, which is the first one, come on, wait. And if you go all the way to the bottom, it says About. And this will tell you everything about your computer. You know, what you have as far as a processor and how much memory installed, and then what type of Windows you're using, and all that kind of information that's sometimes necessary when we're assisting you. So any other questions? I don't think there's the accounts that might be relevant at sometimes time and language. If you move somewhere and go to a different time zone, or you use different languages for some things, you know. I haven't encountered very many people in our genre that have any gaming needs and that sort of thing, but you never know. So that's how the settings is set up. And also, if you look on the rest of the settings page, it will typically say, okay, here's my computer. It's a Surface Book 2. And then they give you some common places to go. Display. Like right now I'm working with 2 displays, so I have it set up with 2 displays. Windows Security, which is what we just looked at. And I'm not sure the mobile devices, some people like to hook up their mobile devices with their computers, and I'm not an expert in that. And Bluetooth talks about as being on, says my AirPods Pro, these little things in my ear, are connected, and that my mouse, my battery's at 25%. Better check that out. And I have purchased from Microsoft, I'll get to this in a little bit about why, but the 1 terabyte of cloud storage. That way I can back up my computer spontaneously whenever it happens. So I've got plenty of memory left there. They've even got a place you can personalize your device. If you like a different picture when it comes up, you can change that. If you want to put a picture of your favorite grandkids and whatever, I see that a lot. Or vacations you've been on. And it says I'm connected to an Ethernet cable. And it's sort of a summary of all your settings right here on this main settings page. So that whole settings thing, a lot of times if we're talking to you on the phone, it's a good thing to know where the settings are and to get into those if we need to look at something. Changing subjects, this is the File Explorer. It isn't much different than if you've used Windows in the past. It's the same thing. You've got tabs. You've got context menus. You can. That's another thing. Let me just bring this up. If I just bring up File Explorer, and I look at the top, they have now a pair of scissors up here. That's a cut. It used to have, you went under edit or you hit Control C to, or T or whatever it was for cut. This one has two little sheets of paper next to it. That one is copy. Those icons are on the top, whereas they used to be in another place on Windows 10. So just kind of get used to looking up there for being, if you want to copy and paste things. These are the three things: cut, copy, paste, and then there's some other things here for delete and whatever. So if I go, those things are new. There's some things about reopening previous folders, but I don't remember that. Let me go back to that file folder here real quick. This is the File Explorer. And I'm going to just sort of walk you through. My left-hand side is going to look different than yours. Every one I look at is different. But typically you'll have the home, which is the first thing. And then they have a gallery folder that they create, which happens to be a concoction of photographs. Then whenever they have your name, typically whatever you named your computer, with a bunch of folders underneath it, this is where your what I call OneDrive stuff resides. Anything in documents, music, pictures, or whatever, this is where it resides in OneDrive. Then as I go down the side, I've got a whole bunch here, a group of things that are, this is like, what did you do the last 3 months? You know, I've looked at downloads, I've looked at music, I've looked at videos, I've looked at these folders on my computer, so I can have quick access to them. Then below that, it's kind of the old school stuff. With this PC, you got your C drive, which is typically the main drive on your stored on your computer. And then I've got another plug-in drive that's called P7. But this is where anything you have plugged into your computer or is installed in your computer is going to be. So I can go in here to C:, let's see, users, and go to my name. And there I can find, oh, here's my documents. And they can find the documents. And I'm going to hold off on talking about OneDrive to the last on this, because it's a very scary kind of a thing to some people and even to me sometimes. But over here on the left, it's kind of like the card catalog at your library. You know, this is where you can look for stuff, for everything that's on your computer or connected to your computer. And so you've got everything over here on the left. Then in the center, let's go back here to the main page. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, the main page, after that stuff is on the left, they give you some stuff of quick access out here, stuff you've looked at recently. Or you can have recent files. You can have things that you starred as favorite or things that you've shared. And just to show you on this particular screen, there are a whole bunch of funny looking things on the left-hand side here that show the status of where it is in the green checkbox means it's been uploaded to my OneDrive. This one means it's sharing with somewhere else. You know, there's all these little things over here, and you'd have to look at your individual stuff to see. Some of these have a cloud, and it's supposed to tell you where that stuff is. And so on your main page, if you were to go back to here, let's see here. Come on, Bruce. Yeah, there. That's just what I showed you on my page. And okay. Every Windows installation will look different depending on the configuration of your Windows 11. If you don't use OneDrive, it will still have a OneDrive folder on there, but it may not have anything in it. You may not have an external hard drive or an external USB drive or something like that. You may or may not have one of those. You may put it in only periodically when you do a backup. So it won't show up until it's plugged in. You also will not have things, sometimes you won't have the things you saw on mine, which said gallery. You may or may not have that. And you may or may not have something called libraries, which is basically the same as folders. And so if you're used to File Explorer from Windows 10 or something earlier, this is probably quite similar, other than some of the formatting and that kind of thing. Updates and security, I kind of brushed on that. If you go to Settings and Windows Update, you can see that, and you can just click on the thing that says, see if there are any updates. It should have already found them there and updated them if you have the thing turned on. Your security features, you've got to look to see whether you have Windows Defender or something like BitLocker, or I doubt anybody has device encryption stuff, but. And then newer machines and newer versions of Windows are going to have Copilot Plus AI features, which I'm not going to get to in this session because it's fairly complicated. But if you do go to, say, Microsoft Edge, which is the Windows default browser, and you look up here in the upper right-hand corner, there's this little multicolored thing that says chat. That's basically the Microsoft Copilot chat box, which brings up their place of what do you want to do? And if we got classes on that, but it's very handy for us tech nerds that trying to help you, because in half the cases we have to go look up, well, I've never seen this before, and this is a place to do it. But this has actually helped me solve a lot of problems, and it is Microsoft's version of artificial intelligence, and it's different. I won't say better or worse than just what we've been doing years, Google searches or Bing searches. It goes to the web and it finds the answer to your question. And sometimes it lies, but it's remarkably accurate, especially for our technical questions. But that's going to appear whether you like it or not. You just don't have to use it if you don't like it. Most people don't care. And then if you look right up here on my search the web, if I search the web, it's still got this little thing that says use Open Copilot. So if I search the web for, something, what does it tells me? Rufus. Okay, that's a program. It comes up with stuff, just like a Google search. This is a Bing search. That's the default with Microsoft is Bing. And I found that the majority of us seniors have somehow gotten used to Google and they want Google searches on there. And that's easy to do. But the AI features are available. Come on, okay. This next subject is a tough one. I've gone back and forth on this myself. Microsoft makes it quite difficult when you, for example, if you buy a new Windows 11 computer or you update to Windows 11 on an older computer, it's very difficult to say, I don't want OneDrive to synchronize my files with, because typically you've got thousands of pictures or very large videos or something like that on your computer, and you can use up the free storage. They give you, Microsoft, just as a blessing they give you when you get the computer, you get 5 gigabytes of cloud storage or OneDrive storage for free. You can use that up really quickly. And so they have this thing that I purchased, which is when I bought Microsoft 365, which has the Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. It gave me an extra, well, it gave me 100, oh no, it's 1 terabyte, so 1,000 gigabytes of storage, and I'll never use that much. I say never, but I've not gotten close to that. But that way I don't have to worry about getting comments that I'm running out of storage. But what it does, what it's intended to use, is to automatically back up your desktop, your documents, pictures, spreadsheets, PowerPoints, all that kind of stuff. And that allows you the flexibility that you can go on your mobile device, like your Android phone or your iPhone, and you can download those files to your phone and look at them. It sort of gives you the option of a permanent place that they can get it, and you don't have to carry your computer around with you all the time, and you can go and look at that file on your phone when you're somewhere else. That's what they envision, and they are competing with other similar offerings. Apple offers a similar thing in their iCloud, and they really force you to use the iCloud to back up your iPhone stuff. And that way you can you can use your Mac or your PC or anything, and you can access those files, which is kind of handy. I use another version. I use Google. Google has the same cloud service, but they give me more free cloud service than the others. And I take a photo on my phone and it instantly backs up to Google Photos. And then I can download it from any other thing. I can have it go to my computer and get that picture, or I can look at it on my phone, or I can look at it on someone else's computer if I sign into my Google account. So it's three different mega companies competing for your storage, and they make money on your storage. So that's just the bottom line, is that they want you to buy their storage, and OneDrive is one of those things. And Microsoft is making it not easy, but it's doable to disconnect you from their cloud services. You do have to remember your Microsoft account to get into it. A lot of people, it's been 7, 8, 9, 10 years, 20 years since they had their first Microsoft thing, and they have no clue what their Microsoft account is. But you need to know what the Microsoft account is to be able to get into the thing. And there's always the option that you tell it, okay, I knew what my email address was, and that's probably my user name. And then I say, I forgot my password. And then you go through all kinds of Microsoft gyrations to reset your password. And you've got it there. And then you can choose which folders you want to sync. And it may be just your photos, or it may be just your documents that you want, legal documents or something. And you can always, once you've done that, then it will appear on your File Explorer to look at them. So that's how OneDrive works. And I want to just show a picture here. I asked this was kind of an interesting test I did the other day. I said, can you, to artificial intelligence, I said, can you draw me a diagram that shows where files are stored on your computer and in OneDrive when you sync your files with OneDrive? And this is what they came up with. But it took, the first time I did it, it tried 3 times and would get like halfway through the picture, and then it would stop, say, I need to start over. And it did that about 3 times, and it says, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble doing this for you. Can you come back later and try again? So AI was really busy that night. But what I discovered was that if you have files that you put on your computer, let's say under documents, that's a common place to put something, and you back up all your documents files, it will back up that file as soon as you save it on the computer, if you are connected to the internet. And it will save it in OneDrive. And it will also move it. Say I had it in documents, it will move it from my documents folder to a different folder, which it says, users and my name, Bruce, and then it'll say OneDrive /documents. It creates a new folder, but it's still on your computer. It's just not where it used to be, which is kind of confusing. And I don't know why they did that, but anyway, it's there. It's not easy to find sometimes. And when you're saving a file, and you are using the synchronization capability to be able to copy all your files onto the cloud, you have to figure out sometimes, say you're out somewhere and you're not connected to the internet, and you want to find that file. Well, you got to know where it is. It's on this OneDrive folder on your computer. So that's just a new thing that I've discovered in the last few months, but it's crazy. Now, reasons not to use OneDrive. And I'm sure I could get any of you folks to give me other reasons. First, if you already have backup strategies and devices or cloud services, if you have another cloud service like Google, or if you have something like Dropbox and you've saved all your things there, or you have an external hard drive or a plug-in USB drive or something like that, you're already backing things up. If you've already got that, OneDrive may be an only advantage is that it's off-site, and if your house burns down something or your whole computer messes up, you've still got the stuff in the cloud. Also, if it's too complicated for finding the files, then if that might be a reason I don't want to use it, because I don't know where my files are. And the big one is you don't yet trust the security of cloud services. I mean, they're machines too, and they could go down. And the way the world is now, you don't know whether data centers are a target for a foreign adversary or not, but it could be something you think about. But there are maybe other reasons you're hesitant. It's just confusing sometimes. And anyway, I'm kind of this is the end of the basic stuff. I do have a couple of more things that I'd just like to show you that are new in Windows 11 that I didn't include in my presentation thing. Up here in the upper right-hand corner, where it said, you've got this little thing, typically if you do this, if you click it once, it makes it smaller. And if you click it again, it makes it full screen. But it also has a new thing that is really kind of cool that you can say, okay, I want to take this presentation and put it on the left side, but I want the Zoom meeting and see, I've got the Zoom meeting in one corner, and then another thing in another. So okay, come on. What did I do? Anyway, I use this a lot. Leave the meeting. I use this a lot when I am transcribing information from one thing to another, where I will take like a Word document and a PowerPoint presentation or something, and I'll put them side by side. And it's really easy to use this thing and say, I want to use the side by side, and I want this on this side, and I want the Zoom thing on the right. You could do that really easily with this thing. And I like playing around with it. especially if I was using, let me get back to regular size here. Perils of trying something without experimenting first. That was one thing that you could do in the new Windows 11 is tiling your stuff. And I used to do a lot of moving data from one application to another, to like a spreadsheet or something, and rather than using copy and paste from two different screens, I put them side by side and I can just drag and drop stuff, which is really handy. Now I still have one question here. Let me just, what's the question? No. Where's the question?
Bruce, it was Connie. I don't mind asking you it.
Okay, go ask
Um,
it, Con.
I
Welcome.
asked, hi, is there a way to keep that lower left-hand corner news feed, and I forget what you called it, from covering the screen? Because I'll be on a Zoom sometimes and that pops up and it drives me nuts because I'm trying to get it to go away and sometimes it takes me a while.
Well, they call those widgets.
Okay.
So I'm going to use the search button just to show you widgets. Well, let me do the easier way. Let's just go into settings.
Okay.
And I think just do the search in there. Okay, all I have to do is I've got widgets as part of my taskbar, and
Okay.
I just go in here and I say off.
And that'll get rid of them?
Yep.
Yay! Thank you.
And now I don't have to worry about them myself. See, they're
Good.
gone. It's gone from there.
Great.
Well, I, you know, I've kind of gotten used to Windows 11 once it's been 2 or 3 years, and I I have no issues with it.
Hmm.
Let me stop the share here. Okay, now I can see you. Any other questions? I think we're all destined that we have to go to Windows 11. I don't know. We've got
Hmm.
people that are still using Windows XP, and if Bill was on here, he would talk about things even earlier than that.
Hmm.
The Windows
Hmm.
2000 or whatever. But uh, you you kind of have, if you're going to stick in the Windows environment, they're kind of forcing everybody to go to 11, because if you stay at 10, you run the risk of being compromised. And today's environment is scary to me. because everybody's trying to get our money, get our everything.
Connie, did you have another question?
Yes, I did. And I don't know if it's something in the Windows setting or in a Microsoft Word setting, but I did an interview with my aunt for some genealogy, and I would like to type it up, but I don't want to have to listen, stop, type. Is there a way for my Microsoft Word for me to play the recording in Microsoft Word, type it up, and then I can go and refine it and edit it?
The answer is yes. What you
Okay.
do is you go into Microsoft Word
Okay.
and you have to enable your where's the word? Where did you come from? Where did you come from? Okay, Word. And suppose I had a blank document and
Can I
up
ask,
in the
can I ask kind of a question? What version of Word are you using?
oh, I'm
I
using
have 365.
Okay.
okay, yeah, up here in
Bruce, you want to
well,
share that
yeah,
screen?
I'm going to share it because I found it. And screen two. And now, since you be the recording and you just start, I'll tell you when to start. I'm going to go up here and click on voice dictate.
Ah,
Go as soon as it goes.
okay. So as soon as it does it, oh, it has to make the complete circle before it will start.
Well, let's
But
see if
it's,
it can make it through the Zoom.
oh,
Well,
there
it
we
can hear
go.
me. It can hear me.
Okay.
And then I can just keep talking and play the recording or whatever, and it just keeps going.
So I just need the recording near the computer and it'll type it up.
Yep.
Awesome. Because then I can edit past that.
And you can hit this little microphone and stop it.
Okay.
Wait, oh, okay, I want to stop for a minute, and then you do it again. It's a really cool thing, and it's really handy for
Uh-huh.
if you've got some thoughts, that
Yes.
you want to do.
So you had to tap the circle when you were done recording, correct?
Yep. hmm
Okay. Thank you so much.
Or it keeps listening to you.
That might not be good some days.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
hmm
And you just made my day with telling me how to get rid of that widget screen that keeps popping up. You do not know how much you made my day.
Well, it's the first time it happens. So what happened? Where'd that come up?
Yes.
But who needs to know that all the time? I don't know why I'd need to pull up the news and the weather and current stock market or whatever during the day. But I hope that Windows 12 doesn't um, make us as crazy as Windows 11 had.
Windows 12 will probably be all in the cloud.
It probably will be. Um,
I will mention something. If you're purchasing a new computer and you really don't want to be kind of forced into some of these topics like OneDrive, some new computers actually come with what we call Windows 11 Pro. And Pro is typically designed for businesses who don't want to participate. They have their own way of doing backups and so on. But I've noticed some of the newer computers are including Windows 11 Pro. So during the setup, it's not as forceful with getting you going down a OneDrive path. Just as a tip, if you happen to be looking for a new computer and don't want all the extras that OneDrive can offer. I noticed, Bruce, you had one, yours is Pro. Your
Yeah.
version of Windows. The common one on Windows machines is Windows 11 Home. So just a tip I've found actually seems to be a growing population of newer PCs coming out with Windows 11 Pro.
Yes, but another thing is that if you allow the provider, example, Best Buy, Staples, whatever, set the computer up for you, who knows what you'll get.
Well, I think we recommend not doing that, and that's part of why we're here to help people set new
Right.
machines up. So
Yeah,
anyway,
I think I've set up a dozen or more in the last few months.
okay, if there's not any other questions, I'm going to stop the recording. I think.